When the white guys arrive in Cape Town, so 1652 is when Dutch guys arrived there. At that stage, you could have divided South Africa almost exactly 50-50, what's now South Africa. The western half of the country was entirely Khoisan. There were no black people there. None at all. Only Khoisan. So we're Cape Towners, all that area, Khoisan people.
Welcome back to my channel. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Thank you so much for being here. Now, before we dive into this video, I have a question for you on the comment section. Answer this question. South Africa, we believe, is for black people, but there is this narrative that black people too came to South Africa. They migrated to South Africa. It's believed the Khoisan or Khoi are the true inhabitants of South Africa. Now, are Khoisan black people, Arabs or white? Are Khoi black people, Arabs or whites? Tell me on the comment section what do you think about that, because in today's video we are going to talk about this. There is this white person who is saying that black people are immigrants in South Africa, that South Africa is not for black people, neither for whites. He is saying that South Africa was in first for Khoi or Khoisan, and Khoisan are not black people. That's what he's saying. Let's watch this video and then we come back, we react on it, and we talk sense on it as we do always. But don't forget to leave your comment.
Black people are not the original inhabitants of South Africa, which, in fact, they're realizing that now. When they claimed that they owned all the land, the original inhabitants, of who there are not many left, said, excuse me, we were the original inhabitants, you guys were migrants here as well, which they were. Okay, the original inhabitants of southern Africa are called the Khoisan. In the west, the Bushmen are Khoisan. Hottentots are Khoisan, but you can't use those words anymore, you now have to call them Khoisan, okay? All right, now, and they were the inhabitants of the whole of southern Africa. So the whole of South Africa at one stage were Khoisan. The black people originated in what is now Cameroon. That's where they...
Hold on, Khoisan aren't black?
No.
What are they?
They're a completely separate ethnicity all on their own. In fact, if you look at them, they're kind of yellowy. They're a light brown yellow color, right. But they look more Asian than African. They do not consider themselves African.
Interesting.
When the white guys arrive in Cape Town, so 1652 is when Dutch guys arrived there. At that stage, you could have divided South Africa almost exactly 50-50, what's now South Africa. The western half of the country was entirely Khoisan. There were no black people there. None at all. Only Khoisan. So we're Cape Towners, all that area, Khoisan people. The northern part of the country did have black people. They'd started arriving, and they were still migrating.
How long have they been there in the northern?
Well, it's a moot point, and people have debated it. It would seem that black people had probably started arriving in the northern parts of South Africa maybe 1,000 years, something like that, about 1,000 years before whites got there, right up in the north, okay? And they've been slowly moving south because it's an empty space. I mean, one of the things about Africa is it's very empty. Up until the 1950s, Africa was very empty. It's the population exploded because white colonists, the naughty white colonists, put hospitals there, and there's been this huge population explosion since the 1950s. But Africa was really very empty up until then. And so tribes moved around and just occupied new empty territory. So the guys coming down from the north, who are called the Bantu, it's called the Bantu expansions when black people came out of the Cameroons, they'd been occupying South Africa and moving systematically south, down the east coast of South Africa.
They were pastoralists, am I right?
Yeah, they were pastoralists, yeah. Whereas the Khoisan were hunter-gatherers. They were like aboriginals, okay? So they hadn't become pastoralists yet. The black guys are migrating down from the north and settling, doing exactly what white guys are doing. So white guys, the Dutch guys from Cape Town, were settling by moving eastwards. So the white guys are moving from Cape Town eastwards, and the black guys are moving down from the north. And they met at a place called the Fish River, which is now in the middle of South Africa, at a place called, it's still called border. Everybody in South Africa calls that part of the country the border, even though there's no border there at all anymore. But there was a river called the Fish River, which is where blacks and whites first encountered each other. And then it started 100 years of warfare between whites and the Khoisan, who were the tribe that they met there. So, okay, so at that point, that would have been in about 1700. So whites and blacks first encountered each other in 1700.
Now, welcome back. You have heard him saying that white people, black people both came to South Africa. That means South Africa is not for the black, neither white. Who were the true inhabitants of South Africa? He said the Khoisan. Were the Khoisan black? He said no. Khoisan were not black people. By the way, were the Khoisan black? I need to know that. Tell me in the comment section if the Khoisan or the San of South Africa are black, white, or Arab. I need to know too. But through my research, I want to say this. Maybe he is right, but he is not right, because all I know is that black people are the true inhabitant of South Africa. But here come the Khoisan. Who are the Khoisan? The Khoisan are classified separately from what is typically referred as black people in the broader African context. The distinction is based on cultural, linguistic, and genetic differences, although such clarifications are complex and often simplified. Now, when we come to look at physical characteristics of Khoisan, they have light skin tones. They have ranging from copper to light brown. Epicathic folds around the eye, that's folds around the eye. If you have seen God Must Be Crazy. A trait also seen in East Asian population. A smaller stature and unique skeletal features compared to many other African population. Yeah. Genetic lineage of Khoisan have one of the most ancient genetic lineages on Earth, predating other population groups in Africa. Now, genetic studies show that DNA from other human groups tens of thousands of years ago, making them one of the oldest continuous population. So Khoisan are one of the oldest continuous population. They have different culture and historic identity. For example, Khoisan are hunters and gatherers and pastoralists with a unique linguistic group characterized by click, sounds not found in most other languages, like that sound. I know you know that. Culture and linguistically, they are distinct from Bantu-speaking people who are commonly associated with the black population of sub-Saharan Africa. Now, everything that I've read right now, or I've told you right now, bring us to black population. So I don't know where this white person got his studies, his research, but for me, I think Khoisan or Khoi or San are black people. Another thing we need to know about Khoisan or about South Africa, asking questions if black people are not the true inhabitant of South Africa, neither white people. Who are the true inhabitant of South Africa? Okay? And it brings us back to the San people. It's like Khoisan were the first people to be in South Africa, maybe. The San people, who are hunters and gatherers, are believed to be among the oldest population in Earth. Okay? I've just told you that 10,000 years, the genetic studies have said they are the oldest people in the Earth. They lived in a small nomadic groups and had intimate knowledge of their environment, which allowed them to survive in diverse and harsh ecosystem. Now, they have rich culture. It's evident. Then we have the Khoi people, who are traditional pastoralists, herding cattle and sheep, unlike the San. They had semi-permanent settlement and more organized structure. Later, around 2,000 years ago, Bantu-speaking people began migrating into southern Africa from the north, bringing with them agriculture practices, iron working, and new structures. Okay, those migrations significantly reshaped the demography of the region and led to cooperation between the Bantus, Khoi, and the San. When the arrival of European in 17th century, particularly the Dutch were the first European to be in South Africa. The Khoisan people faced displacement, exploitation, and culture disruption. Their population declined drastically due to violence, disease, and loss of land. Now, today, descendants of Khoisan continue to live in South Africa and neighboring countries though many have lost traditional lands, lifestyle, cultural, and everything. But in this, whatever we have read and whatever you have heard from me is to say that Khoisan is true. They were the first people of South Africa. Because the Bantus came from the north and Khoisan, Khoi, and the San were there. So they intermarried and they become family, and raised black family. But at the Khoisan, black people, everyone who is in Africa, who was in Africa, was a black person. Africa is the true creator of human being. Human being started in Africa, and black person was the first human being. That tells us Khoisan are the black people, or Khoisan are Africans. Just to say, maybe their skin color is light skin. We have a lot of Africans who are brown in color, and they are not mixed. Just from black father, black mother, and they raise this, or they give birth to this young kid who have light skin, just like Khoi and Khoisan. So I think personally, I think they got their color from, the area they were living, maybe the harsh conditions. So the area was, maybe there is where they got their skin color. But each and every person in Africa, we vary from skin tone. If you come to look at South Sudan's people or Sudanese people, they are black, like total black. And if you come to see people from maybe East Africa, Ethiopia, come to see Somali, some are brown, some are black. But both of these people are 100% Africans. So if black people were not truly habitant of South Africa, it's confusing because you have to know who are the Khoi. Now, this white person say Khoi or Khoisan are like Arabs, but it will remain to the books that South Africa is for Africans. It's not for white people. It's for black people. So these all topics we bring out, and white people trying to make like South Africa look like it was a land for nobody, or that black people are just visitors as them. It's a agenda or narrative that is brought out here to make it believe that South Africa is, for everybody, so that they can do their things as they want because of the narrative that, you are black people, even you came to South Africa. No, South Africa is for Africans. South Africa is for black people. We understand there is white South Africans who came to South Africa. The Dutch, they came, the British, and they lived there. We agree the fact that we have white South Africans and black South Africans. But the fact remain, whether Khoi, whether San, South Africa is for black people. That is it. I don't know what you say in the comment section. Of course, you have to say something there. Whatever this guy have said, we know we want to have your views and everything. Maybe there's something I haven't said. Tell me in the comment section what you think about this topic. Until next episode, peace be with you.